As much as I loved the Overwatch League, its closed format made it very difficult for certain players to shine, and some players got stuck either on really bad teams or on teams that just couldn't give them the support they needed. With OWCS being a much more open format, it allowed for players to join more open teams and make teams that just couldn't be made before. Today, I'm going to go over 10 former Overwatch League players who got another chance to shine because of Overwatch League ending. If you like Overwatch esports or just Overwatch in general, consider leaving a like on this video and subscribing to the channel for more content. If you think there's any players I missed or just any players you wanted me to go over, to mention, please leave a respectful comment down below and I'll include them in a potential part 2. With that being said, let's get started. The first player, or should I say players, that I'm going to talk about today are HeeSang and Junbin. I suppose to a lesser extent, this also does include Max, but I'm mostly just going to talk about Junbin and HeeSang. These players played for O2 Blast and Contenders, and were extremely dominant, being hyped up like crazy upon their entry to OWL in 2023, where they joined the San Francisco Shock. However, for some reason, the Shock just didn't click that year. The players looked pretty mediocre, and to be quite honest, a lot of people were very disappointed in their results considering their history. HeeSang ended up leaving the team, joining the Vancouver Titans, where he instantly looked a lot better, but not excellent. Junbin rotted away on the Shock, who were trying to scramble and save their season, but to no avail, and they didn't even make it to playoffs. After the Overwatch League ended, these players were picked up by WAC, who later became Crazy Raccoon. This team is absolutely dominant, and suddenly these players are on top of the world, becoming some of the best players worldwide. HeeSang has been a disgustingly good player, with him and Lip being arguably the best DPS line in the world. Junbin had an incredible performance at Dallas, winning him MVP, with his diverse hero pool really benefiting him greatly. These players went from disappointing prospects to some of the best players in the world, and it really makes you wonder what was happening behind the scenes on the 2023 San Francisco Shock. As a whole, the EU region was pretty misrepresented in Overwatch League, and aside from a few notable exceptions, most players from EU were forced to play on either the London Spitfire or the Paris Eternal, neither of which were really that great of an option. Paris was by far the worst of the two, and the next few players were people that were really held back by the Paris Eternal in particular, those players being Vestola and Naga. These guys played for the 2021 Paris Eternal together, where they were a middle-of-the-pack, pretty solid underdog team. Neither of them really looked like world beaters, but we could all see their serious potential. That all changed, however, in 2022, where some major internal issues, terrible playing environment, and just Avala being just terrible, caused all of the players to either leave or get dropped, these guys included. We actually wouldn't see them play an OWL again, but once OWCS started, we really got to see them shine. Naga's DPS play was very good, and it really helped Team Peps be a top-tier team in EU. Notably, his Pharah and Echo have been really fun to watch, and I'm excited to see where he goes now that GG Peps is gone. Vestola has always been seen as a pretty good player, but after his incredible performance in the Overwatch World Cup, a lot of people really had their eyes on him. He was picked up by ENCE and was immediately a top-tier tank player, getting second in both Stage 1 and 2, and becoming well known for his incredible D.Va and Sigma play. He's also played other heroes like Ram or Maga, and he looks good on pretty much everything he touches. ENCE had some pretty good placements, and in Stage 3, they ended up winning on the back of Vestola's D.Va play. Vestola went from a mediocre ex-Overwatch League players to arguably one of the best tanks in the world and the best tank in EU, and I'm really glad that these guys are finally getting the recognition they deserve. However, these European players aren't the only ones who got screwed over by the Eternal. After these European players were dropped, the Eternal picked up a new team and put them in the worst environment possible. If you're familiar with the 2022-2023 Vegas Eternal team, you know about everything that happened to my poor son, Rakattack. This guy has been the people's champion, with everyone rooting for him, but there was really nothing we could do to save him from the awfulness that was the Vegas Eternal. If you didn't know, the Eternal would not win a single Overwatch League game with this new team, despite the efforts of players like Dove and Rakattack. To be honest, if I were in this situation, I would retire, but Rak stuck it out and ended up joining Students of the Game in Overwatch Championship Series, where the team would place 5th through 6th in Stage 1 and 3rd in Stage 2, which would allow them to qualify for Dallas. In Dallas, they would announce they were getting picked up by the NRG Shock, which was a big surprise and a great thing for all of the players there. In Stage 3, the team would sign multiple players and upset the Toronto Defiant in Winners Finals and place second overall. They currently look like a title contender for NA, and this is such a better situation for poor Rakattack. I'm really happy he's finally on a good team and getting the recognition he deserves as one of the best NA main support players. Another NA player I want to talk about is Seicoe. Seicoe joined Overwatch League in 2022 on the Boston Uprising as a mid-season pickup, and he looked like a good and upcoming prospect. But somehow in 2023, he ended up on the LA Valiant. As you all know, the Valiant suck. A lot. Seicoe really did deadlift that team time and time again, and was by far the best player on the team, being the main reason why the Valiant won any games at all. After Overwatch League ended, he really got screwed over by the Stage 1 roster mania, ending up on a WD-40 team, who later became LFO and then FMCL. These teams would place 7th through 8th in Stage 1, and 5th and 6th through Stage 2. But in Esports World Cup, his team was picked up by Timeless and then Nightmare, which had a really great showing in Esports World Cup, even beating Fnatic, a Korean team. After Esports World Cup, the team made some great roster pickups, and Seicoe would finally get a chance to play on an actually good team, and Nightmare would end up placing 3rd after a close map 5 against the Toronto Defiant. We've always known that Seicoe was a great hit scan, but now we finally get to see him put his talents on display on a team that actually matches him. I couldn't be happier for the guy, and I'm really excited to see where he goes from here. The next guy I want to go over is a player that really surprised me, that being Finn. Finn joined Overwatch League in 2022, where he looked like a pretty great player off the bat. He started for O2 Blast and Korean contenders, and his skills have been very helpful for the 2022 Shock. However, he was mostly in proper shadow throughout the year, and his talents just weren't as recognized as they should have been. In 2023, the Shock were a complete mess, and Finn really suffered as a result. To be honest, he still looked pretty good that year, but he got benched several times by Renko and Luke Muno for who knows what reason, and he ended Overwatch League on a pretty low note. This all changed when he joined From the Gamer, who later became Zeta Division, and he reunited with Violet on support, and genuinely they've been a really good pair to watch. He connects so well with his team, and he makes crazy good plays, and he really helps his team out a lot. I think a lot of people are finally getting to see just how good Finn is, and I really couldn't be happier. I mean, he's one of the best flex supports globally right now. I'm really excited to see how he does during the rest of the season. This guy has been mad underrated for quite a while, and now that he's finally on top, people are going to see exactly how good of a player Finn is. Two players that have made an absolutely crazy comeback recently are the old New York Excelsior and Vancouver Titans duo, SHockWave and Seicoe. SHockWave originally joined the Overwatch League in 2020 on that really awful Vancouver Titans rebuild team. He was easily the best player on that team, and people definitely noticed, and later that season, he ended up getting picked up by the Philadelphia Fusion for 2021. However, visa issues prevented him from playing for a good chunk of the year. When he did play, he looked really great, but he just didn't get a lot of chances to try. In 2022, he rejoined the Vancouver Titans, and Seicoe joined the league, joining him there as well. The Titans honestly sucked that year, and SHockWave and Seicoe would be removed from the team midway through the season. They went and played in EU contenders together, absolutely dominating on Oblivione, before being picked up by the NYXL for the 2023 season. The NYXL were also a bit of a disaster, but the DPS line of Fitz, Seicoe, and SHockWave were actually really good. After the Overwatch League ended, Seicoe would join Space Station Gaming alongside the former London Spitfire Corps, and the team has been very successful, even winning Stage 2 and being one of the top placements in EU. Seicoe is recognized as one of the best flex DPS players in EU and a top tier player globally. SHockWave, on the other hand, joined Oblivione, who later became Ataraxia and then Virtus Pro. Virtus Pro have actually had quite a lot of success recently, being the number 1 in their groups, as well as recently getting a 2nd place finish in Stage 3. Both of these guys have become top tier players just because of OWCS, and I really couldn't be happier for them. It just goes to show another case of European players being held back just because of Overwatch League, and I'm really happy that this split region has given them all a chance to shine. The final player I want to talk about today is someone who's been really known as a great player for a while, but has never really been given the right opportunity to be the best in the world. This player I'm talking about is BERNAR. BERNAR originally joined the Overwatch League in 2020 on the London Spitfire, and let's just say, this team was really bad. BERNAR was definitely one of the team's bright spots, and was honestly one of the only bearable members to watch on that team. In 2021, the Hangzhou Spark ended up picking him up, but they were a pretty mediocre team. That was still an improvement over the Spitfire, but BERNAR was able to still show he was very good, and the combo of him and HeeSang was actually quite nice. In 2022, the Spark started and ended very well, but that middle of the season stretch was just so bad for them. BERNAR ended up getting benched a lot in this season in favor of HeeSang on the solo tank, so he just never really got the chance he needed. In 2023, he ended up leaving the Spark and wasn't actually on a team for most of the season, until randomly in the playoffs, the Houston Outlaws announced that they signed him. And when he joined, he looked fantastic, being arguably one of the best tank players in the world for the playoffs, which was surprising considering he wasn't in OWL for most of the season. He ended Overwatch League on a relatively high note, getting second in the playoffs. However, we really even wouldn't see his true potential until Overwatch Championship Series, where he ended up joining from the Gamer, who later became Zeta Division. In OWCS, BERNAR would show his real skills and put on an absolute show, being one of the best players on his team and, in my opinion, a top 3 tank in the world. Because of OWCS and Zeta Division giving him a real chance to finally show his skills, he went from a player who had a lot of untapped potential to one of the best tank players in the world, and I'm really excited to see just how far this guy can go. But that's all I have for today. Thank you all so much for watching. If you liked Overwatch esports or just Overwatch content in general, consider leaving a like on this video and subscribing for more Overwatch content, as I'm going to be pumping out some more in the future. If you think there's anyone I missed, leave a nice comment down below just letting me know who I should put in a potential part 2. I'd love to make it, I love talking about these players, and I want to give them all the recognition that they deserve. Thank you all so much for watching.